Okay, so let's look at phosphorus. You guys already told me it has 15 electrons. So, I'm going to start and work my way through it and find a marker. Yeah. So I'm going to start at the top. We'll find the top of your card, the 1s. Really quickly, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. This S, P, D, and F, these are called my sublevels. Somebody asked me about that yesterday. Within my sublevels, which give me the shape of the orbital, I have orbitals. So the letter is the sublevel. It tells me the shape. The lines within the sublevel are the orbitals. S has one orbital. P has how many? I heard somebody say it. 3. We should know this at this point. Erica, how many does D have? 5. Good. And Caleb, how many does F have? 7. Now, we talked about this a long time ago, how this S is spherical shaped, like a circle. The P is called dumbbell shape, just like a dumbbell you would hold. The D is like a 4-leaf clover. So it's kind of like, and then F, here's what we're going to say, very complex. Can't really draw it, doesn't really have a name. So that's how they tell me the shape. Look at what happens when I put all those things together. That's just the first 3 sublevels. See how things start to overlap? That's why we call it an electron cloud. It gets really messy. That's why, like yesterday, I showed you how that 4s filled before 3d, because we have this mess and they start to overlap. So it's not those nice circular rings like Bohr talked about. It's really quite a mess. A little chaotic. Okay, so now let's do phosphorus. I'm going to go slow. You don't need to really go through this again. Just bear with me. So I'm going to start at the top with my 1s. And I want you to think of these things almost like columns. So I've got my 1s, and it can hold 2 electrons, correct? Each line can hold 2 electrons. I take the 2 away, that leaves me with 13. You still need to? You can look at your card, you can look up there at the board. Addie, what fills next? 2s. So I'm going to show that. And Mara, how many electrons can it hold? 2. Okay. Carly, what fills next? 2p. Oops, I forgot to take my electrons away. So now I have 11 electrons. 2p has how many orbitals, Carter? 3. How many total electrons can it hold, Isaac? So I'm going to put them in. I've got enough. Okay, so I have 5 electrons left. Where do I go from there, Josh? After 2p. 3s. So I hop back over here into my s column. I go just a little higher. S can hold 2 electrons, so I'm going to put them in. That leaves me with 3 electrons. What fills after 3s, Faith? 3p, so I'm going to hop back over into my p column. Oops, I forgot my 3p, which we've established has 3 orbitals. I have 3 electrons left. Maddie, how do I put those in? Give 1 electron to each thing. And am I out of electrons? I am. Now, let's write that in shorthand. I start at the bottom. I say 1s2. You can follow your card too. After 1s, 2s fills, so I would put 2s2, 2p6. I've used all those. Then I hop back over here because that's what filled next. 3s2, 3p3. I've used them all. Question? It goes in the order that they fill, but you have to keep your energy levels together, which is why we're going to do a big one right now, so you can see that. Now that we've done a simple one, let's do something a little bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's try, let's try 10. It has 50 electrons. That's a lot. So, I think I need a skinnier marker. I'm going to start way down at the bottom. You guys help me keep track of my electrons because sometimes I forget to take them away. Okay, so tell me if you can't see this. I'm going to start with 1s. I'm going to have you guys help me all the way through. 1s can hold 2 electrons, which takes me to 48. If I look up at the board, I see, and I'm even going to draw these columns in, I think. Okay, so my 2s fills next. So now I'm down to 46. And I think we've established the 2p fills next. And I would put this in my notes. Well, it's not going to make sense when you go back and look at the electron, or look at the shorthand. After 2p, I hop up there and I look at my arrow, it's moving down and it goes to 3s. So I fill my 3s, which takes me to 38. After 3s, Talia, what do I fill after 3s? 3p, 3p. And I know I have plenty of electrons. So what's that take me down to? 32. Okay, after 3p, Rowan, what do I fill next? 4s. So I have to hop back over here. Okay, now, after 4s, what fills? I heard from Lindy, what fills? 3d, so I'm going to follow this over, hop up just a tiny bit, and I'm going to put my 5 in. Do I have enough electrons left to fill that? Yes, I'm going to fill it. I have to take my 10 away, which leaves me with 22. After 3d, find it up there. Kirsten, what fills? I haven't heard from you. 4p. So I have to be just a little tiny bit above my 3D. I put my 3 spaces in. I need 6, and I have enough. And that would leave me with 16. I'm very slow today. After 4P, at least what fills? Good, 5S. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go 5S, put my 2 in, it's getting full, take me down to 14. Carter, after 5S, what fills? 4P, is that what you said, or 4D? 4D, thank you. So, I'm going to go up here, make my 5 lines. I have enough to fill it. I'm checking, I've got 14 left. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it. Finally, I'm getting finished. Okay, I just finished 4D. Ava, what comes after 4D? 5P. So I'm going to put that up here. 1, 2, 3. How am I going to fill that, Rowan? Okay, put these in. Is that what you're telling me to do? Now what do I do next? Good. Put a down arrow right here. Okay. So now if I follow my stair steps, or if I follow, I guess I should say, my arrows, I know how it actually fills, right? But when I do shorthand, I want to keep energy levels together. So when I write that, I'm going to write it like this. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Now, even though we know this 4s filled before 3d, shorthand keeps energy levels together. So I would say 3d10, 4s2, 4p6, 4d10, 5s2, 5p4. So when you do shorthand, you keep your energy levels together. I can still count that and figure out what atom I'm working with. Now, I'm going to put that on this paper because I want to ask you a couple questions about it before we break into groups. Okay, so now, I want to ask you some questions. How many main energy levels have electrons in them? Can you answer that? How many main energy levels have electrons in them? Which part of this tells me the main energy level? What can n equal? 1 through 7. Do I go all the way to 7? No. So how many do I use? I stop at 5. So my main energy levels used, n equals 1 through 5. I could say to you, what's the highest energy level? Josh, what's the highest energy level used for occupied? 5. I could say, are there any sublevels that are not housing electrons in this atom? Yeah, what is it? Yeah, good. I could ask you, are all the sublevels full? No, why'd you say that? Yeah, because this could hold how many? Go down one. 5p. Oh, did I not put the 5b on there? No, we didn't have a 5b. 5p can hold 6 electrons. It's okay. So still, it could hold some, right? So you should be able to look at this and figure all those things out. We'll practice with that. Okay, so now, look at that paper I had you pick up this morning.